We are on filmsgonewild.com. My name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. And we are at the Naples International Film Festival. Obviously outdoor, we've got the breeze going. It's really great. And we're going to talk about just a lovely short film I'm a big fan of. And now I just asked so I pronounced the names right. We've got Josh Wolfe and Luca Oida. Josh is a director. Luca is a co-creator, producer, also star of the film. And now I asked you, Hafu? Is that what you say?
Yeah.
All right.
You got it.
Look at that.
I always double check. It's an emphasis on Hafu.
Yeah. Okay. Our audience has not seen the film yet. Introduce them to Hafu.
So the film, it's a short film about an American bride-to-be who spends the afternoon with her Japanese grandmother who has recently moved into the area. They have not seen each other in over 20 years. They do not speak the same language. And so kind of through the dance of communication, our main character discovers that she's more connected to that side of her heritage than she realized.
I loved it. Because there's such a delicacy to it, but it also sneaks up on you on what's in the heart. And and in such a wonderful way that I like to talk about we watch things and we go, did they earn that laugh, or did they earn that emotion, or did we go there because we've been trained like seals to go there? And you guys earn it on this.
Oh, thank you so much.
No, absolutely. And that last moment, you go, man, that could have been a ham-handed, just beat you over the head with it moment, and instead it breaks your heart. So, let's talk with you, because rarely do I have a credit and go, co-creator. Well, this isn't a pilot, so co-creator. What are we talking about here? But I also, again, after I saw it, kind of understood. But talk about how you worked with Josh to kind of make this work.
Yeah, so we are actually cousins. So I don't know if you knew that, but we are cousins. And during the strike, when there wasn't a lot of work going on for me as an actor, I'm in LA, I called him up and I said, let's just do something. Let's make something. And then we had a conversation about, okay, what do we want to say? That's the first thing you ask. What do we want to say in a story? We wanted to make it personal, and because we're family, I figured let's do something that has something to do with my experiences growing up. And I'm half Japanese, and I wanted to really talk about the complexities of living in two different cultures. But it wasn't just in one household. My parents divorced when I was 6 or 7, and so they both remarried so I had two sets of parents. I had literally American parents, and then I had Japanese parents. And going back and forth, staying with my dad on the weekends, and then my mom all the other times, I was literally being inserted into different cultures. And this film in particular sort of was given birth by a memory I had with my grandmother, who I didn't see very often. In fact, I think I went 10, 15 years without seeing her. And I went to Japan and saw her, and usually the few times I did see her was with my dad. And so I had that translator, the interpreter with me. But that time I didn't, and I spent about a week with her just in her world. And she lived in a traditional Japanese home. She cooked traditional food. She had an arranged marriage. She had this whole other world I didn't know about. And I really felt pulled to that world in a way that was this is who I am, and yet I don't speak the language, and there's so much I don't know about it. And so sort of that longing of, this is my identity, but how do I make it also part of me in who I grew up with as an American, with an American family. So that's basically how I kind of threw these ideas at him. And it's too close to me for me to write a story myself. So he totally fictionalized the story, but beautifully sort of took the ingredients and made his own recipe out of it for the story.
And it's funny because, and I have a resonance with this because my ex-wife and creative partner also is half Japanese.
Yes.
And is a situation where even depending, some people pick up on the fact that she's Asian, or they don't, because of that, right?
Yeah.
And and so there is like these these things, and I remember and I would go to her her home, and her mom would be watching Japanese soap operas, and there'd be like a news channel, and which was highly entertaining for me, especially the news channel with the English voiceover over what they're doing, but that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
That made her what she is. I saw the echoes of that in Hafu, and again, it's that thing of which how you communicate that to a larger audience, especially with the short.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a 3-act structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get in there, get out, get your moment, and then and then hit the point at the end. What I would love for you to talk about, Josh, is that idea of going, all right, especially in the scripting phase, of going, well, we need to get to this point. I see my goal line, and I also see a large ass field to get there right now. So how do I make this efficient? And and so our audience isn't like looking at their watches that nobody wears anymore. Right. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, so to piggyback off of what Luca was also saying, she threw these wonderful memories, and it kind of a light bulb was like, this feels so deeply cinematic to people that can't actually communicate. So we as an audience could maybe hear what they're saying, but the visual nature of how then they have to negotiate, it makes the audience, I think, key in more of the like body language and the little moments. And that's as a filmmaker, I really love the little moments that you can really make big, right?
Right.
And then within a short, understanding that nothing, you're not going to go from 0 to 100. It's not like I now have this full understanding of who I am. So the idea was kind of a day in the life that just feels like it's an opening of a crack of a door, and that last moment where she's seeing herself, it's kind of like almost seeing herself for the first time in a new way, and you have this sense then that journey continues, right? Like the next day and the day after and the day after, there's going to be a long process of unpacking all the things that she's been kind of holding in her body, instinctively, in some ways like trauma of feeling between two worlds, but feeling both, but also not a part of either, when you're not white enough or you're not Japanese enough. And I think that's something we all can identify. I'm half Jewish. When I'm with my Jewish side of my family, I don't feel Jewish at all. And when I'm with, other people, I'm sometimes made to feel like very Jewish, and kind of, so that otherness that we kind of feel. And then so that particular culture that it is that we explore with Luca's own biography that's loosely based on that is still very universal, I think, of how we all have this patchwork of identity that we navigate. And that, so in a short film, you try to just show a glimpse of a moment that then represents this larger thing that they're going through.
Luca, when we talk about, especially as actors, there's oftentimes that push and pull of what we're doing career-wise versus what we're doing with work. Mm-hmm. And and so when we're on the set, then it's the best thing ever, right? And then getting there is such a pain in the ass, or so stressful. We live and die on each audition, or agonize over when the last audition happened, or what have you. Talk about how you navigate that, and how this experience, do you think it galvanized you to go, oh, well, look at what we were able to pull off and do here, so maybe I can generate even something bigger on the next one, or do it. How are you coming out of this?
Yeah, I'm curious. Great question.
Absolutely. Wow, that's a packed question. Well, for me, I just keep going. I'm a pretty tenacious person. Before I was an actor, I was a pianist. So I'm a classically trained pianist, and one of the things you learn as in that world is you practice when you don't feel like it, you practice. And so when I transitioned to being an actor, it was kind of seamless in terms of the focus I had to have, and the perseverance I had to have. So, and in making this film, it was inspiring. It made me realize you can't just sit around waiting for the phone to ring, or I guess for the emails these days. I mean, my agent doesn't really call me, but you know, the emails for all of the auditions and everything. And the strike really gave me a reason to be like, okay, if we're not working, let's start writing something. Let's do so I think it's just gave me the, what's the word? Not the gratification, but also the gratification, but the verification? Validation. I was like, I knew it started with a V. The validation that to initiate, like if you initiate something and you keep going, things will come back to you. And so the initiation of calling him and being like, let's do something, and seeing a conversation turn into this is really cool and inspiring. And it's like, okay, if we can do this, we can continue. We can do other things and you know, work our way and expand up and onwards and upwards.
Well, and listen, and the hardcore bottom line with this is that anybody who's considering you for your role, you just drop this sucker in their lap and go, there. Make your decision now, lady. You know, or what? You know, it's like the Shelley Winters thing where she would, like, you know, bring both of her Oscars and go, here's my audition right there.
Yeah,
I think, you know, I mean, your performance in this, I go, well, okay, if I can't decide if I want you in my film based on that, then what's wrong with me? Because I think the performance is wonderful, and the film, like I said, is just so wonderfully constructed and such artful nuance. That's the best way of it.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it was a pleasure to work with Luca. It was, I mean, that having those ingredients and building a story around that, and knowing, and again, being cousins, it really was a family affair, and I felt incredibly both honored and an immense sense of responsibility to be a shepherd of that story, especially not coming from that culture. We put a lot of work into making sure that we were well represented both behind the camera and in front of the camera with people that also came from that similar background. We did our research. We had a Japanese producer. That was important, and that was so gratifying too. And it was such an amazing experience of bringing a lot of different talented people together. When I watch the film, I see so many talented hands that were part of this process besides just Luca and I. And that's like the cool part, you know, and the journey that you take.
Well, again, it all shows up. Again, the film is Hafu, and we've been talking with Josh Wolfe, Luca Oida. Congratulations again.
Thanks so much for having us. The festival has been wonderful. We can't wait to see more.